This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefrevane series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later.
The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates and Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 1, Embers. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. It is not intended for children or young teens. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 3.
Hi, this is Chris Lester from the Metamore City Podcast, a sci-fi fantasy anthology series found at metamorcity.com. If you like your magic mixed with a bit of high technology and a bit of noir, come check us out. Previously on Cowry Catchers. Gerard, the newly appointed captain of Temple Police, learned that his predecessors had been dying at a rate of more than one per year. Some died in open fights with the resistance, but others were murdered. The police have a reputation for brutality, but in the last 10 years the organization has become small and ineffectual. Gerard learns from one of his prisoners that the Resistance's new leader, Gawain, is supposed to be half Grishnard and half Shavier Fawn. Interspecies matings normally produce no offspring, so such a creature is highly unusual. Gerard sets out to speak with one of Silvio's lieutenants, Arundel, who seems to have been the last person to leave police service alive.
Chapter 7. Insult and Injury.
The Temple's Sea Watch is about 1,000 strong. They are led by an admiral who's appointed by the High Priestess. The admiral, in turn, appoints lieutenants, which have numbered from 2 to 12 in the past, and often command their own ships. These lieutenants each appoint captains of hundreds. Captains have 10 officers called watchmasters, each commanding 10 shelts. Watchmasters are elected by the sailors themselves. Gawain, the truth about wyverns.
By the time Gerard and Alcere swooped down on the deck of the Seafeather, it was full dark, and torches were burning on deck. Gerard was relieved to learn that Silvio was not there. He found Arundel in his office, dictating to his secretary. The lieutenant, it seemed, had heard of Gerard's promotion. He sent his secretary out of the room as Gerard began to speak.
I trust you're enjoying your time in port, sir?
In my own fashion.
Arundel had a toneless pattern of speech, and one of the most expressionless faces Gerard had ever seen. Gerard's tail twitched involuntarily. Arundel was the only one of Silvio's lieutenants who made him uneasy. He was the quietest of the group, a black-furred Grishnard with hair as dark as Gerard's own, and eyes as yellow as any hawk's. For a time Gerard had thought him the most honest and humane of the group, until Gerard stumbled upon Arundel with a female Shavier pirate whom he was supposed to have executed. The memory made Gerard a little sick.
What can I do for you?
Asked Arundel, his spider-like fingers flicking over the papers on his desk. Gerard forced his tail to stop twitching.
I understand that you were once captain of police. I have been recently appointed to that role, and I'd like to ask you some questions.
Arundel watched him impassively. Gerard plunged on.
Were you able to learn anything about Skytown? Do you believe it exists?
Arundel sat back.
It existed. I found Skytown, a pitiful tree fort on Haplag 34, full of ragged fawns with old weapons and older leaders. We burned the whole island. I'm told it's still bare.
Gerard was confused.
The priestess seems to think Skytown still exists.
Arundel nodded.
I'm sure it does, but it's just a name. A banner for resistance pirates and their sympathizers to rally around. They tell each other that they have clever leaders, operating out of some unfindable hideaway called Skytown. Undoubtedly, the Resistance do have leaders, but like the place itself, those leaders are periodically killed. The names are passed on to give the illusion of permanence and invincibility. Skytown is more an idea than a place.
Gerard thought for a moment.
What about Gawain? Montpierre mentioned him in his papers.
Arundel's emotionless face twisted.
A name that gets passed around. There have been many Gawains.
One of the prisoners said he's distinctive. Gawain is supposed to be half Grishnard. He looks like a shavier with dew claws. The prisoner saw him. How many such Schultz can there be?
Your prisoner lied to you. Or perhaps he was tricked.
That's possible, but I don't believe it. I don't think you do either. Montpierre also scribbled the word misnomer on a sheet of paper headed Skytown. One of my prisoners talked about being taken by the pirates down an incredibly long tunnel from Asia Minor to a beach he didn't recognize. Could it be that Skytown is actually underground, with a name intended to mislead?
Arundel shrugged.
As I said, the name means nothing. I'm sure the original Skytown was a tree village. However, the Resistance could easily be operating out of an underground fort these days. They may even have no central location anymore. Skytown is just an idea, Captain.
If that's true, then it's an idea you fought hard and lost.
Aloud, he said,
And what about the Cowry catchers?
Again, that curious twitch of the lip.
What about them?
Resistance pirates these days are calling themselves the Guild of the Cowry Catchers. That's an odd name, don't you think?
The name was, in fact, so odd that Gerard had once believed that Grishnards and their allies had bestowed it in contempt. However, his preview of the police papers had made him increasingly certain that the pirates had chosen the name themselves. It had a curious double meaning. Cowry Catcher was the common name of the despised manatee shelt, a creature that could not even speak. They were dull, witless Nons, easily enslaved. Most harbors had a team of Cowry Catchers used to repair ships and scrape their hulls. Long ago, they had been used to retrieve the cowrie shells from the ocean floor, which were then used as currency. Now, most of the islands used coin, though money in Wefravain was still called cowries. The Resistance had chosen to identify itself with these humble creatures. Of course, Resistance pirates were quite literally cowrie catchers, but they caught their cowries from merchants and temple treasure ships, not from the seabed.
Schultz have been talking about Skytown since I was a child,
Gerard told Arundel.
But the Guild of the Cowry Catchers is new. I don't remember hearing about it until a few years ago, and I can't find any mention of it in police papers more than 10 years back.
Arundel nodded.
Perhaps their leaders have decided they need a fresh focus, a new rally cry.
It seems to me that the Resistance shows an increased level of organization since they've been calling themselves the Cowry Catchers. I'm wondering whether this Gawain person has anything to do with that.
Arundel shrugged.
Why won't you talk to me? Whatever else you may be, you're not one of Silvio's pets.
Arundel interrupted his thoughts.
If you have nothing else to discuss, Captain, I will bid you good evening.
There is one more thing. You are the only captain in living memory to leave the police alive. In the last 10 years, the average length of survival has been less than a year. This seems to coincide approximately with the advent of the Cowry Catchers.
A thin, mirthless smile curled the corners of Arundel's mouth.
Nervous, Gerard?
Well, yes. Mainly, though, I'd like to know how and why they're being killed so efficiently and so rapidly. Did anyone try to kill you?
Several times. If you really want to survive the police, I suggest you follow my example and get promoted out as quickly as possible.
Gerard frowned.
Learn to get along with Silvio Lemire. He makes an excellent alternative to dying.
Gerard wasn't sure he agreed.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your taking the time to talk to me.
He left the cabin with Alcere, feeling dissatisfied. He was about to take his leave of the Sea Feather when two of Arundel's captains came bumping and laughing up the side.
"We sail tomorrow!"
one cried to a comrade who'd come from below deck.
"The Silver Fox has had his way at last."
"What, you caught one?"
asked the other Grishnard.
"And me not there?"
Caught one what?
The group turned, saw him, and grew instantly silent. Gerard walked towards them, his long shadow preceding him in the flickering torchlight.
Exactly what did the Admiral catch? Where are you sailing tomorrow?
The group glanced guiltily at each other.
"Well, you see, Your Highness,"
began the cheekiest, but Alcer's warning growl cut him short.
My name is Captain Holivar.
Said Gerard quietly.
Of the police.
The captains were technically his peers, but the police had special status. Another of the sailors cleared his throat.
Don't mind him, sir. He's had too much to drink. We went with the Admiral to question a suspicious fawn. We had a bit of sport. In the end, the fawn told us the location of a resistance hideout on Cern. We're supposed to sail tomorrow.
Suspicious fawn,
repeated Gerard.
He wouldn't have been one of my recent prisoners, would he?
Gerard saw their eyes flick away. He didn't wait for an answer.
Alcer.
The griffin was beneath him in a moment, and they fairly leapt between the ships. Gerard landed on the deck of the Fang, a growl already forming in the back of his throat. He was furious. There was Silvio on the quarterdeck, chatting and laughing with his other two lieutenants, Farrell and Basil. Gerard strode towards them, his hand curling around the hilt of his sword. It had been a long time since he'd felt this angry.
Lemire! You've overreached yourself! How dare you!
He was bellowing, and certainly close enough for them to hear. Farrell and Basil glanced at him, but Silvio kept talking. At the foot of the steps to the upper deck, two burly sailors, part of Silvio's personal guard, stopped him. Gerard shoved away from them and pointed his drawn sword up at Silvio.
Those are my prisoners! They gave information, and they were promised freedom in exchange. You had no right!
Silvio had finally stopped whatever he was saying.
Do I hear a yapping?
He asked his lieutenants, still not looking at Gerard.
Is there a griffin cub on the ship? Someone go and drown it.
There was a titter of polite laughter.
You are a coward and a fool,
snarled Gerard.
Still as much a dock rat as the day your mother sold you.
It was a low thing to say, and he regretted it at once. Yet he was still angry, and he could not take it back. Silvio's head snapped around. He stared at Gerard as though he could not quite believe what he just heard. Then his face twisted, flushed with rage, and his hand shot beneath his tunic. Gerard had just time to think,
He's going to kill me.
Silvio was indifferent with a sword, but he was deadly with a knife. Then something iridescent shot over the side of the ship in a spray of foam and landed between them. Gerard heard the sharp tink as Silvio's throwing knife struck the wyvern and bounced harmlessly across the deck. The beast stood there dripping, its scales like mother of pearl, dazzling in the torchlight. Gerard could not see its expression when it looked at Silvio, but when it turned to him, it was clearly annoyed.
My mistress would like a word with you both.
Chapter 8. Reprimand.
The Grishnards think they are the dominant species on Wefravain. They are wrong. One need only look in the temple on every island to find the true dominant species. Gwaine, the truth about wyverns.
The gods have informed me that I had better do something with my officers before they kill each other.
Morchella spoke without amusement from her throne.
Explain yourselves.
Gerard bowed his head. He'd never in his life expected to ride a wyvern, had certainly not expected to be picked up like a mouse from a field and flown away. He felt a little shaken, but the rage that had driven him onto the deck of the Fang was still burning in his chest. He stabbed a finger at Silvio.
Admiral Lemire picked up prisoners without my consent or knowledge. He tortured and killed Shelts, whom I promised freedom in exchange for information. I gave my word.
A Shelt,
grated Silvio. He was wearing an absurd yellow hat with a lavender plume large enough to choke an elephant seal. Gerard noted perversely that his earrings alone looked heavy enough to drown him, should he somehow fall into the sea.
You will be pleased to learn that the grasshopper escaped.
Gerard felt a measure of relief. Grasshopper was the uncomplimentary slang for Gazumel, who had unusual jumping abilities.
He released them,
Silvio continued, addressing himself to the priestess.
I picked up a fawn off the street who seemed likely to provide me with information. The police appeared to have finished with him. It has never been police policy to let traitors escape. I have killed several released shelts for other police captains.
By the end, he was almost pleading. Gerard glanced sideways at him. It was strange to see Silvio neither laughing nor sneering. Marcella steepled her long fingers before her face.
We are getting off the point. The gods informed me that you threw a knife at my officer.
Silvio dropped his gaze.
I might have.
Admiral Lemire, perhaps you are unfamiliar with my policy on such things, as we have not had this problem before. Let me enlighten you. As my admiral, you are free to discipline shelts whom you appoint and administer. If you find them insubordinate or incompetent, you are free to execute them. However, you are not free to either discipline or execute officers whom I appoint and administer. The police fall into this category. If you kill one of my officers, you will lose more than your station. Is that clear?
Yes, mistress.
And you?
She turned to Gerard.
I am told that you arrived on the Fang and drew a sword on your superior officer. Is that correct?
It is.
Gerard drew a deep breath. Silvio's explanation made more sense than he had expected.
The smuggler was right. I am new at this. But it wasn't the sword that provoked the incident. It was what I said.
He turned to Silvio.
I apologize for my comment. It was dishonorable and insubordinate.
Silvio shot him an expression of loathing, conveying the general sentiment that the only apology he would accept from Gerard was one written in artery blood.
However,
continued Gerard to Marcella,
my point stands. Any organization which you put in my care will not only be feared but respected. How can the police be respected if they fail to keep their promises? How can I bargain or parley with an enemy if I'm considered untrustworthy? If every shelt I release is killed in an alley?
Bargain with them? A curious notion. The Admiral is right about the traditional treatment of prisoners by the police. Those who escape warn their comrades of what they've seen, heard, and told. For this reason, they are not normally allowed to leave alive. However, I trust your judgment enough to let you play out this experiment. In the future, your wishes will be honored so far as they pertain to the province of the police.
And there's the problem, because the province of the police and the Sea Watch overlap.
Silvio was glaring down at his bright yellow boots. Marcella rose and walked down from her dais to stand between them.
My fox and my lion. You will complement each other's strengths if you will only work together.
Her voice grew harder as she turned to Silvio.
In the future, if you have a problem with one of my officers, you will bring it to me. Now go back to your ship.
Yes, mistress.
Gerard expected to be dismissed as well, but she spoke before he could move.
Stay a moment, Captain.
When Silvio was gone, she continued.
How do you find your new command?
Gerard hesitated.
I hardly know how to answer that yet, mistress. I have less than 2 days with them.
I told you on your last visit that you have permission to use my name.
He inclined his head stiffly. She was standing very close, and Gerard wished suddenly that Silvio were back in the room. He caught a faint scent of salt and sandalwood. Was it only incense, or was it her perfume?
If I have put you in an untenable position, you may tell me so. I have other positions to fill with capable shelts. You may serve me elsewhere.
Gerard felt his fur bristle uncomfortably against his clothes.
I do not quit that easily, Mistress Marcella. It is true that the police are in a pitiful state. They have been leaderless for a red month. and it does not seem to me that they have had firm leadership for some time before that. Their captains have been yearly assassinated, as have many of their officers. They are hated by the citizenry of Wefravain, both Grishnard and non-Grishnard. They are distrusted. In addition, I find it difficult to work with Admiral Lemire. This is my own problem, and I will deal with it.
Marcella nodded.
I'm sure you will. However, the police will never be a gentle organization. This would undermine their function. Can you do what I'm asking, Gerard? If you can't, now is the time to tell me.
You mean, can I torture and kill if necessary?
Her aquamarine eyes bored into him.
Can you? Will your honor let you?
I can. Firebird, forgive me. And I can be cruel when I must, but not to no purpose.
He told her about his treatment of the prisoners, the reasons he had killed the leaders at once, the things that the youngster and the smuggler had told him. Marcella folded her arms. She thought for a moment.
You've impressed me. This is unconventional behavior for the police. I have no doubt that torturing the prisoners would have produced more information, but not of the same quality. I think you're right. What they told you is probably true, and the best they had to tell.
Feeling a little bolder, Gerard said,
I'm certain that youngster knew no more than he told me. The smuggler, on the other hand, was an unscrupulous bastard.
Exactly the sort of morals desirable in an informer.
Gerard shrugged.
Perhaps. However, he was the sort of fawn who would highly resent being made to die for a cause. I would treat any information he gave under duress as suspicious.
Marcella nodded.
You have a point. Please present it to Admiral Lemire when you sail with him to CERN.
She watched Gerard grimace.
You were planning on going with him, weren't you?
Gerard said nothing.
The police have no ships. The Sea Watch administers the ships. A journey to Major Minor or any other place you wish to investigate must be coordinated with the Sea Watch. I expect you to work together.
Gerard shut his eyes. He had not thought that far ahead. He felt suddenly tired.
Try to get along with Silvio. I realize that you find him distasteful, but he has his uses. Learn to exploit them. Silvio can be made to do almost anything once you know how to steer him. You, on the other hand, are a delightful enigma.
And she leaned up on her tiptoes and kissed him. Gerard thought for one panicked moment that she was going to kiss him on the mouth, but she only touched her lips to his forehead in a vaguely maternal gesture. Then she brought her lips down to his ear in a way that was not maternal at all, tickling his skin with her breath.
Now, you need to go home and love your minstrel girl and sleep. You lost your temper this evening because you are exhausted. Go home, Gerard. I'll be watching over you.
Chapter 9. Mine.
The High Priestess of Wefravain is a mysterious but stable figure for most of her subjects. She's ageless, as beautiful and terrible as their grandfathers remembered her. Some believe that there have been a long line of High Priestesses, each chosen in great secrecy. They point to the fact that she does not often appear in public, and some say that her appearance has differed over time. Others claim that she is deathless, a personification of the will of the gods, not a true person at all. A few claim that she is a wyvern Schelt, although those who have worked with her closely swear she is a Grishnard. Her life and work are surrounded by secrecy, and while her Sea Watch or police may perpetrate atrocities, these acts are rarely attributed to the priestess, who is supposed to spend most of her time in communion with the gods. The minstrels of the old school, of whom very few remain, call her a servant of the Firebird. This is curious, as the wyvern gods of Wefravain have completely eradicated all monuments to that ancient deity. Gwaine, The Truth About Wyverns.
Alcera met Gerard on the temple steps.
I've never seen a wyvern pick up a Schelt that way. I thought perhaps they'd sacrificed you.
He nosed Gerard this way and that, as though to make sure that he was all in one piece.
Lemire came out looking like he'd just eaten a live eel, which gave me a bit of hope.
Gerard sighed.
Silvio probably hates me more than ever for earning him a reprimand from the priestess.
Oh? Does our silver tadpole fear something, then?
Loves and fears, I think. But neither will stop him from trying to kill me after what I said on the deck of the Fang in front of his officers and crew. I should not have lost my temper.
Alcere shrugged.
I wish I'd said it for you. Don't worry. I'll kill him before he gets another shot.
Gerard took a fistful of Alcere's ruff.
No, you won't. You'll stay out of it. Please. This is already too complicated.
He was feeling more and more confused by the priestess's behavior, and Gerard hated feeling confused.
Perhaps I am just tired.
He'd slept less than a watch last night, and it was already late. Thessalim would be worried. Gerard told Alcere the gist of what had happened in the temple as they flew back to the inn. He did not say anything about Morcella's kiss.
We have to go to CERN?
Whined Alcere.
With those conniving sea rats?
You don't have to go. In fact, I'd be pleased if you'd stay and help Thessalim settle into the house.
Oh, no. No offense to your lady, but my place is with you, now more than ever.
I don't need you to protect me, Alcere.
The griffin made a mock whimper.
Oh, you wound me.
Gerard refused to be drawn.
Silvio has an order not to kill me. He has no such order about you. Or,
he thought with a chill,
about Thessalim. Can we go any faster?
When they reached the inn, Gerard tore up the stairs 3 at a time and unlocked the door to his room.
Thess.
She sat up in bed, her golden hair tousled and gleaming faintly in the stream of light from the hall.
Gerard, what's wrong?
He sagged against the doorframe.
Everything. Nothing.
Yes, it is. Are you hurt? Please, come here.
He shut the door and came to her in the dark. It made no difference to her.
Your heart's beating like a bird's. What happened today? Did someone hurt you?
Her hands were running all over him in a very distracting way.
No one hurt me. I had a fight with Silvio. We almost attacked each other. The priestess interfered. I thought Silvio might think of hurting you to get at me.
No one has bothered me. Unless you count asking me to sing the Tale of the Maiden's Pearl 11 times. I suppose that could be counted as harassment.
Gerard smiled. Thessalim was undressing him with expert speed.
What were you and Silvio fighting about?
I'll tell you tomorrow,
he said, and growled into her ear, which had the usual effect of making her try to crawl inside his shirt. Gerard dreamed that night that he stood on the shores of a starless sea with only the fingernail of yellow moon shining through the clouds. He was lost and alone and very cold. He was looking for something, but he did not know what. Then light exploded in front of him. It struck him like a hammer so that he sank to his knees. Squinting into the heavy brilliance, he saw a huge eagle with feathers so bright they looked like flame. Gerard struggled to his feet. He did not want to appear afraid. The firebird looked at him with warm, golden eyes, and Gerard knew that he could hide nothing from this creature. He also knew that the firebird saw his courage in the face of his fear and loved him for it. The huge eagle bent his head until his beak brushed Gerard's forehead and uttered one word.
Mine.
Then the light went out, except for one tiny spark on the sand. Gerard picked it up, a golden feather, warm and glowing. He saw a trail then, leading away into the caves beside the beach. He followed the trail, carrying the golden feather. The darkness seemed to press against him. Darker and deeper he went, until he could see nothing except the feather. He clutched it in his hands, terrified that he would lose it, that he would lose himself in the darkness.
Thess, how does the priestess know things?
Thessalim stopped her tactile exploration of their new home.
What do you mean?
Her wyvern probably saved my life last night.
Gerard had already told Thessalim about the fight.
It happened so fast, yet she seemed to have sent the wyvern.
Perhaps the gods have been watching over you.
Gerard thought about that. It made his skin crawl.
But,
he persisted,
she knew things about the fight when we arrived in her sanctum. I don't see how even a wyvern could have gotten there ahead of us.
He hesitated.
And yet, she doesn't know everything. She didn't know what I'd done with the prisoners, or what they'd said to me.
She is a goddess, love. A servant of the Firebird. She may have once been a Grishnard like you or me, but now she is something more, something different. Perhaps the Firebird himself speaks to her. Who can say?
The Firebird. I dreamt of him last night.
Thessaline looked interested. She believed in dreams.
Did he speak to you?
Yes.
The details were coming back.
He came to me on a beach in a dark night. He said, what did he say? That I was brave, that he loved me? No. He didn't actually say any of that. Mine. He touched my forehead with his beak and said, mine.
Thessaline smiled.
I told you, Gerard, you are good. The light claims you.
Gerard shook his head.
It was the darkness. The darkness was trying to claim me. Who won? Did I keep that golden feather?
He could not remember. You have been listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated podcast. Artwork for this episode was created by Sarah Cloutier. To view these illustrations, and to learn more about this world and its author, visit the website at www.cowrycatchers.com. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell
as Gerard,
Kim the Comic Book Goddess
as Marcella, Kimmy Alexander as Thessaline,
Norm Sherman
as Silvio,
Chris Lester
as Gwaine,
Ryan Stevenson
as Alsair,
Hughes Hilton
as Marlowe, and the Firebird,
Terry Mixon
as Arundel and a Wyvern,
Rish Outfield,
Terry Mixon,
and
Hughes Hilton
as Temple Sailors. Sound effects for this podcast were generously provided by SoundSnap and the Free Sound Project. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is Moonlight Flowers by Amoeba, both licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. This episode also included music by Diana Rowan from Magnatune.net, Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, Jamie Saber at Magnatune.net, and additional music from Beth Quist at Magnatune.net. All music was licensed with permission.
This is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works.
Solitude, understand, I don't think I can stand up.
Hey, this is 2025 Abby again. At my kitchen table. My neighbor is still working on his fence, but I don't think you can hear him. So, comments on this episode. I did check to see whether MetamoreCity.com still houses Kristen's work, and indeed it does, so that link is still accurate. Listening to some of these episodes actually made me want to do full cast again, and whenever I say that to my audience, I also bookend it with I could also, stab myself in the eye with a knitting needle. That would also be an option. It's a lot of work. And I think I ended up with tendinitis at some point. Oh, there's my neighbor hammering on his fence. I think I ended up with tendinitis at some point in the production of all of these books. When I say it's a lot of work, I think people are like, oh, she just doesn't want to do it. But generally I get injured at some point in the process. I am sure that some of the new podcast tools and audio tools that have come on the scene in the last 10 years could probably make this process easier. But at the time I was doing it, And I compared these notes with other authors who were doing audio. Generally speaking, if you were doing a solo read, it was about an hour per 10 minutes of finished audio in terms of work. So for every 10 minutes, you were spending about an hour of total work. For full cast, it was about an hour per finished minute. And I actually, on the final book, what I would now call the final part in the original Cowry Catchers podcast, I actually did a pretty close record of my time just to figure out exactly how much time it took me. Or actually, I think I did that on book 4 so that I could use it to estimate how much time it was going to take me on the final book. That was about spot on. And that includes things like emailing back and forth with all the voice actors, going through all the music libraries available to me to license, looking through sound effects, managing troubleshooting technical difficulties with the feed, and then, of course, editing the large multi-voice audio file, asking for retakes because none of these voice actors are in the same room with each other, and my key actors were all quite good, but, sometimes the tone of 2 sets of lines just doesn't match up, or it doesn't jive with how I wanted it to sound, so you've got to send, or sometimes people just mispronounce something, you got to send back and get retakes. So, there's a lot of additional tasks folded into that hour per finished minute. And then you've got the editing of the audio track itself, which is often the part that would give me tendinitis at some point. And then you've got the editing of the layered track with the music and the sound effects. Some parts of this process are very enjoyable. Some parts are very tedious. But overall, it is very long. It takes a lot of work, and that's one reason you don't see more full cast productions of books. Of note, there's a lot of audio drama out there, which is beautiful and amazing, but audio drama is different than full cast in that with an audio drama, the script is like a play, basically, and you're doing all or most of the narration with music and sound effects. These are pretty much just my novels that a full cast is reading aloud, and you've got a narrator and everything, but occasionally I edited out dialogue tags, he said, she said kind of stuff, but aside from that, pretty much what we read is the text of the novel itself. So anyway, would I do full cast again? I would need an awful lot of incentive. The other thing is that it's 10 times as much work to do full cast as it is a solo read, but you can't sell the audiobook for 10 times as much money. So you are not going to get compensated for that time. You kind of need to enjoy it enough that the creation of the full cast itself is the compensation, because you're not going to get paid 10 times as much, even though it's going to be 10 times as much work. So, I write a lot of books. Also, I could have written about 5 books the length of Cowry Catchers in the time I spent producing the audio. So it's also just a choice, if you're doing all the production yourself, to write fewer books over the course of your lifetime. Now, if I could afford to pay people properly and also had a good producer that I trusted to do a full cast production and I was minimally involved with it, then yeah, of course I would do that. But if I'm doing all the work, I don't know what it would take to get me to do a full cast production, but it would be substantial, because generally speaking, I would rather be writing. I do really enjoy audiobooks. They are generally my preferred reading style, and that goes all the way back to childhood when I got a Fisher-Price tape player for Christmas every year when I was a little kid, because I wore them out once a year. So I really like audiobooks, and I have been involved in the production of all of my audiobooks, including all of my solo read audiobooks. So I like being involved in the production, but physically it really is a very repetitive task kind of activity with your wrist. So it is easy to get movement injuries doing a whole lot of audio editing. And then the bottom line is you just only got so many hours in your life. So, you can edit audiobooks or you could write new novels. But anyway, listening to them does make me be like, oh, I'm nostalgic for when I was working on that. Maybe I should do that again. Then I'm like, no, you should not. If we get to the end of this and people want me to run a big Kickstarter and it actually funds and I can hire someone to actually do a lot of the production for me, then maybe I would consider that. One person who worked a lot on the audio engineering for some of this stuff was Brian Lincoln. I don't know if he's still doing audio engineering. If he is, I'm sure he's doing it at a professional level. He helped me clean up some of the really noisy files. He did the trailer that I'm going to run in front of the very first episode, the episode 0. He did that trailer. Anyway, comments on this part of the story. Whenever I read through Cowry Catchers again, I do feel like there's some kind of pacing error in this part of the story. I'm not exactly sure how I would fix it, but I think I probably lose some people somewhere between what would be episode 2 of the podcast and episode 5 of the podcast. The reason being that the world is pretty bleak. We've got sentient creatures eating each other. The rich literally eat the poor in this world. And our protagonist is very straight-laced. He is trying to be a good person, but he's blindingly not self-aware, or much less self-aware than he thinks he is. I think Thessalin probably comes across as far too naive, and Silvio is just too mean and violent to be easily relatable or empathetic. So I think at this point in the story, the average reader is hopefully captivated by the world itself, the alienness and exoticness of the creatures, because this is a 100% non-human cast. But the critical relationships that are going to make this story interesting and pull the reader through it, those are not sparking yet. Silvio and Gerard are not getting along at all. And Thessalin and Gerard are getting along too well. You don't have any crunchiness in any of those. We will. It's around episode 5 where those 3 characters actually interact and you see the seeds of the relationship dynamics that are going to take the average, make the average reader really want to know what happens next. So I'm not sure if I were to write this story today, there's something that would need to happen differently during this part. I'm not quite sure what. I also know that marketing-wise and stylistically, there's a mistake here where Silvio is obviously gay or bi, but he's not a good guy, nor is he getting along with our protagonist at all. So I think that there was a certain kind of reader, I think, when I originally launched the books. And bear in mind, I wrote these in 2007, produced the audio in 2009, launched the podcast in 2010. Attitudes were different back then. I think that because I did not have any front and center, obviously queer, nice characters, or characters that you were supposed to root for, even if they were not nice at all, like characters that you were supposed to root for, because Silvio's behavior is often morally reprehensible. I think that there were certain readers that thought, it's okay for me to read this story that has queer characters in it because they're bad, and that's going to be the case throughout. And I should have set expectations better by having some neutral or kinder queer characters right out front in the story, so that I got rid of those listeners. Those listeners didn't get super invested and get, way, way into the novel. And then they encounter queer characters that are perceived positively. And then I get hate mail and, threatening materials and such. So there's a bit of a mistake there. I also think there's, some kind of closed door sexy scenes between Gerard and Thess in the very beginning, so we know there's going to be straight sex in these stories. There should have been something like that with gay sex, just to make it crystal clear, we're going to have some adult scenes of various types in this story, again, to set expectations so that people aren't surprised much further into the story when those things happen. So these are things I learned by publishing other books. The Incubus series under A.H. Lee is probably my sexiest series of novels. That is a story with a triad at its center. It's MMF. It's very much, there's definitely lots of things going on between the MMs as well as the F. Those books, I made a similar mistake. I make a lot of the same mistakes, where that first book is entirely heterosexual on-screen sex. There's a lot of hints that there's going to be gay sex. I think that anyone who is paying even the smallest modicum of attention knows that there's going to be gay stuff here eventually. But I think with those books, I attracted people who were interested in the straight sex. And then when there's a lot of gay sex in the second book, it is upsetting, or not even upsetting's the wrong word. They're just not interested in it. And then people who would have loved the gay sex in the second book, they never get through the first book that is all het. So anyway, I sometimes naively think that other people are interested in many different things in the same way that I am, and they're not. So anyway, I recognize that writing-wise, there are some branding mistakes here where I should have brought certain elements that are going to be in the story as a whole. I should have brought those elements in at the very beginning to set expectations, and so that I attracted the right audience and repelled the wrong audience. So, if you're listening to this, you know these things. All right, I'll be back in the next episode. Again, I do understand there's a bit of a lull here in the story where there's lots of stuff happening, but we don't have the crunchy relationship dynamics that are ultimately going to make us interested in the rest of the story. In my opinion, those really take off in episode 5, so hang in here. We've got lots of mysteries and world building getting set up, and it will all pay off, I promise. This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Sieber, licensed from Magnatune.net circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Wefravain saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010. All rights are reserved to the author.